everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is RACHELRAE, and today is Theory Tuesday, which means that I'm here with my husband, James.
Hi, everybody.
And we're going to talk about conspiracy theories, which we have been doing for a little while. We really enjoy doing it, so if you want to check out previous videos, please have a look up in the eye and join us for our podcast each week on Tuesday. So, without further ado, I'm going to put the information of what I'm using and doing on the screen right here so that you can see where it's from. But let us dive in to what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about the strange experiences of Sue Walker and her partner, Reverend White Otter.
Perfect.
So, Sue is from Iowa originally.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a psychic and clairvoyant.
Okay.
So she's been over almost 30 years as a psychic and clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Reverend White Otter, he comes from just outside of Albuquerque, Sandia Mountain.
Okay.
And he is a Reiki master and a shaman.
All right. So they're both kind of in that.
Yeah, and the two of them, sometime like around about 2013, I guess, the two of them start dating.
2013?
Yeah, this story begins in 2013.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in 2013, the two of them are dating, and Sue comes down from her home in Iowa, and she comes down to Sandia Mountain to visit White Otter, and the two of them are going to have a week or two together, you know, hanging out and enjoying each other's company.
Yeah.
So while she's down there, this is kind of like, I think it was in September of 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So while she's down there, as she's going about her day, you know, pottering in the garden or cleaning up in the kitchen or whatever she's at, she occasionally gets this voice in her head, you know, and it's just making funny asides or kind of making jokes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a friendly voice, you know?
Yeah.
And she's not sure what's going on. So after 2 or 3 days and the voice has spoken to her a number of times, she says to White Otter, like, this is going to seem strange, but do you ever get this voice in your head? And he said, oh my God. He goes, can you hear them as well? He's like, those guys never stop talking. I just completely tune them out, you know? I moved here in 2009, and they're yap the whole time, you know? So Sue is wondering about
Those pesky voices.
those pesky voices in my head. So Sue is when you put it like that. So Sue is wondering about this, and she thinks it's very mysterious, you know. So one day she's out in the back of the house, and she suddenly realizes, oh, the voices are coming from Sandia Mountain, you know. So maybe I'll call the voice Sandia. And then the voice goes, oh yeah, watermelon head, that'll do grand. You know? So she starts a conversation with the voice, and they start to communicate telepathically, you know? So it turns out that
she's like channeling the voice.
yeah, she's channeling the voice. I don't know if it's channeling. I think
she's meditating and hearing the voice or something.
Yeah, I think in channeling you would be speaking to something in another dimension, or you know, like a clairvoyant channels. But if it's telepathy, the two of you are alive at the same time or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, like that you're speaking direct mind-to-mind communication.
Okay.
Yeah. So the voice introduces itself as Teal'cum. And Teal'cum says that they come from that he comes from Zeta Reticuli.
Zeta Reticuli?
Zeta Reticuli, which is a constellation in the southern hemisphere. So where we are in Ireland, we can't see it.
Right.
But people in Australia, South Africa,
South America,
yeah, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you can see it, but we can't see it.
Okay.
And it's really big in like sci-fi and UFO circles. It's Zeta Reticuli is where the original Aliens movie takes place, you know? That's where they pick up the xenomorph. It's also where like Betty and Barney Hill claim that the aliens that abducted them in the 60s came from. And it's also
Like is it because it's close?
it's about 40 light years away, which is very, very close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's one of the planets it's one of the constellations in the UFO mythos, because it's where the Greys are supposed to have come from.
Oh, the Greys, like they were saying
Yeah,
they were saying last time. They
yeah.
call themselves Greys or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Teal'c says that anyway. He says like, don't call me an alien, don't call me a Grey, you know?
Okay.
Like I don't call you pink, you don't call me Grey, you know?
Yeah.
And he says, you know, that basically they're space brothers. Like we're part of a space brotherhood.
Yeah.
And everyone from all of the different star systems, we're all brothers. We all share this humanity, I guess, for lack of a different word, you know?
Okay.
So he says anyway that he comes from, because Zeta Reticuli is a binary star system, you know, there's two stars that rotate around each other. And he comes from the second star in that system. And his planet is called Ponte.
Ponte.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's called Ponte, and his people are called the Ponte.
Ponte.
Ponte, yeah. See, he also explains to them that
Highland.
his language, she says as well that when she started communicating with him, he speaks incredibly fast. Like his name, Teal'c, he would say, you know, and he would just speak very, very fast. And she had to get him to constantly slow down so that she could understand what he was saying to her.
Yeah.
I guess he's more used to communicating telepathically. And he tells her that he's part of a mission from his planet that have been on Earth for thousands of years. And it's very similar to like the friendship case that we were talking about.
And
where
Friendship Isle?
It's similar-ish to Friendship Isle. It's
But more the case.
Yeah, it's more because what it is he says that they live in an underground base. So they live 2 miles under the mountain. And it's a very large base. And that they've been there for thousands of years. And their mission is to help humanity along, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they want to help humanity evolve to the next...
Like the next evolution.
Yeah, you know, there's nothing really concrete, but it's basically like help humanity develop more empathy and more, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think are similar themes to what we were talking about with the friendship case and with, you know?
Seems to be kind of...
Yeah, I'm only doing the ones where it's happy and the message is good. You know? So
yeah, we don't want to give people nightmares.
No bad messages. So they want to help people kind of, you know, develop things like that. So they're speaking for quite a bit of time. And then one day he asks Sue to draw a picture, and she's like, but I haven't painted or drawn since I was a child, you know?
Yeah.
But he says, you can do it. You can see the picture in your head, you know? So she does. She paints this picture of him. And then that basically starts her off. Like she's got an awful lot of paintings, and they're really nice paintings. I really like them, like, you know?
Yeah.
She's great at kind of capturing empathetic facial and friendly facial expressions and stuff. But I mean, you can go to the website and have a look at them.
Okay, we'll have it linked down there.
Yeah, we'll put a link down there. So that's the story. She meets him. They're speaking for maybe a year and a half, you know? And she doesn't know what to say. So then one day they meet this guy, Clifford Mahooty.
Mahooty.
Yeah, Clifford Mahooty, who is a Zuni elder. And I've got to assume that they met him through White Otter, or they got talking to him through that, you know, because they were looking for help, but I don't have details on that. So they met him, and he's a Native American. He's a tribal elder. And he said, oh yeah, well, what you're talking about, like, we've got a lot of stories about this. And he tells them that the Pueblo people had prearranged times and places where they would meet with their space brothers and trade with them, you know? And he said like that they never really got technology or anything, but they got help from the space brothers.
Interesting.
And what the space brothers would trade for was seeds. So they would want seeds for plants and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of similar to the friendship case as well, where, you know, the aliens weren't looking for something. They're trading to build relationships.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
That's interesting.
yeah. So it goes on like this for a while, and then I guess Teal'c, the commander, one day teaches her this, like their traditional kind of salute, you know, where it's like you hold your hands up and then you kind of bring them down in a bow, like a kind of namaste thing, you know. So then one day she's out walking and she sees a UFO in the sky, you know. And she just looks at it and she does the salute where she raises her hands and brings it down the namaste, and she sends out like a telepathic message saying, I can see you, you're not cloaked. And then suddenly, poof, where the UFO is, it turns into a cloud. And she hears this voice in her head say, oh wow, I was told humans didn't have telepathy. Thanks very much, I didn't even realize I wasn't cloaked. You know, and she said, oh, that's no problem. And, you know, they went about their days. These things happen.
Sure. I mean, she's telepathically talking to aliens all the time. It's fine.
Yeah. So,
no big deal.
So after a year and a half, she's speaking to Teal'c. She's got a handle on it. And then Teal'c starts to say, well, you know, I've got something very special for you guys, and I want you to meet some of my team here at the Sandia Mountain information station. So
like physically?
Telepathically.
Okay.
So I guess he'll just say, I'm going to introduce you to another member of the team, and the first person that they meet, and this is in February of 2015. So maybe about a year and a half after she started getting the messages from the mountain. So the first person she meets is Jaruti. And she describes Jaruti as, like, when she can picture her in her head, as like, you know, she's a really beautiful woman and she's really together, you know, she's on the ball, like, you know. And from what she describes, the way I picture Jaruti is she's almost like the manager, like the office manager of the station, you know. So she's a communication specialist, and she says that any of the people from Zeta Reticuli that are coming to visit, if they need any information or they're wondering where the research is, or they want to access information for their own research, she's the one that would be in charge of digging it up and making sure they get the right stuff, and, you know, making sure it's all properly indexed, I guess, and stuff like that. But she also starts to teach them a little bit about telepathy and a little bit about their culture. And the second person she gets introduced to is Rahaz. And they actually refer to Rahaz as Radar. And they call him Radar because he's this, like, hotshot pilot, you know? Like, he flies the spaceships. Like, when she gets introduced, that's the voice that she remembers from when the UFO and the cloud cloaked it and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he was flying the ship. And I think the ship is called the Delta Dawn 2.
Delta Dawn 2.
Delta Dawn 2. Yeah, so he's flying the ship. He's also a stellar cartographer. I guess you would have to be good at that kind of thing, like to navigate through space, you know, and all this.
Yeah.
But he's also like their media specialist on Earth. So he pays attention to all the media on Earth. You know, he's got more of an expertise in human communication.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's the one now when he's telepathically communicating, he'll make references to movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But the other guys won't because they don't really watch Earth media.
Okay.
You know what So that's in February 2015, and they meet these two characters. And then in June 2015, so just a few months later, Teal'c comes to them and says, I need to introduce you to another person, and this person will help you with what we need you guys to do, you know? So then the next member is Tani. And Tani is like, from what I can gauge, Tani is almost like their diplomatic. She's a member of their diplomatic corps, you know. So she's good with languages, and she's there to teach them to improve their telepathy.
Okay.
So she works with them for over a year on telepathy. But what they're working on is a way of teaching the masses telepathy.
Okay.
So they want to teach the human race how to communicate.
So her job is to teach humans how to telepathically communicate?
Get the word out there, yeah. So Sue, because Sue already has it, but Sue is explaining that, like, she's known since a young age that she was telepathic, and everyone, well, that she was clairvoyant and psychic, and, you know, she's developed those skills.
Okay.
So the telepathy wasn't that hard. She kind of had a feeling for what can be achieved with the human mind. You know what I mean? So Tani helps them develop that, and they work on this book, and the book becomes a thing called the Telepathy 101 Primer. And what it is it's actually a really easy book to read, because it's about 280 slides, and it's just short, sharp pointers on what to do.
Okay.
And it's quite good. Like, they go through it, like, you know, like the first part of it, it talks about how everybody is telepathic in some way, and that you just need to develop it. And it's like, you know, if you exercise a muscle, it gets stronger.
Yeah.
And they go through all of the different types of learning, you know, the way, like, some people are visual learners, some people are kinesthetic learners, so they need movement to touch things, you know?
Yeah.
And she said, like, that the first thing you need to do if you're developing your telepathy is work out, because there's things that are telepathically trying to communicate with you all the time, you know? And you need to work out what kind of learner, what's your most heightened sense, what's the one that works best for you.
Right.
And then go in. So, for instance, I'm a visual learner. So in my case, I would be looking out in my peripheral vision for anything that catches my eye, you know?
Okay.
And if it catches my eye, I need to kind of examine it more, and that may be my in for getting into telepathy, you know?
Okay.
It's all on her website. Like, you can download it and have a read through it. And
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. It's free. It's free of charge. Like, so what it is along with the telepathy primer, this Telepathy 101 primer, they also start Twitter, and it's called Sandia Wisdom, at Sandia Wisdom.
Okay.
And that's to get the message of the Ponte out, you know. So they send out the Telepathy 101 primer. People start to download it, and then they start getting contact back from people who are having very unusual experiences. So shortly after they released it for free, they got a guy, like a farming guy, an elderly guy from Canada, got in contact, and he said that he'd been practicing with the primer for a number of weeks.
Yeah.
And that now unusual things were happening. Like, he would wake up in the morning, and in his bed would be earth, you know, like soil.
Yeah.
That didn't come from his region, definitely didn't come from his farm. He felt perfectly rested, but there was soil in his bed sheets in the morning, you know?
That's weird.
Yeah, and he said it happened to him a number of times. He also said that he would be, like, doing a job or working on something, and he would put down the tool, or he would put something down, and when he turned around it was gone, you know, and it had moved somewhere. And then a few times he even heard a little, like, kind of giggle telepathically in his head. So he thought that, you know, the Ponte were playing tricks on him, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's Daryl Stokes. Daryl Stokes is in Sedona, in Arizona, which is a hotbed of UFOs. You know, Sedona. Don't get me started. And
Great wine.
good wine, I guess. Yeah. And Daryl is he's a massage therapist. So one day he's massaging a client, and the client suddenly like goes, ah, you know, like really surprised, and said that they had looked over in the corner of the room, and they could see this entity over there.
Oh.
And Daryl was like, why don't you describe it? And they started describing the entity. So then Daryl got out the Telepathy 101 primer, and he started going through it, and the lady was able to identify this other member of the Ponte, PETA. And it's like Daryl kind of says, you know, that he thinks that he had been practicing with the primer for so long, and that he had got a few messages from them, and he thought that they were there to look over him and protect him, you know. Then there's Jimmy, Sarah, and Micah, who are from Britain, and they run a podcast called Fascination Street. Jimmy and Sarah are the parents, and then Micah is this 10-year-old kid, you know. So Micah, after they have Sue and White Otter on their podcast, and they speak with them about their experiences with the Sandia Mountain crew, and after that, Micah starts getting telepathic visitations from Radar, and then later on from PETA.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he's 10 years old.
Yeah. Don't they have to be invited?
Yeah.
Or you just have to be a kid to like pick up on it if you're not trained?
She said that, you know, children have better psychic abilities than grown-ups, because grown-ups don't believe in that, and they don't, you know what I mean? They, in some ways, yeah, exactly. The logical part of their brain is too powerful or something, I don't know. They can't bypass it, you know?
Yeah.
So then there's the Spooky Action podcast in 2018. And this is an Australian podcast. And it's presented by two guys, Wookie and Sifu. So in September of 2018, they're on the podcast. And at the end of the podcast, when they're saying goodbye to Sue and White Otter, Wookie invites the Ponte in. You know, he invites them to make contact with him. Then, 10 days later, he's going over to Sifu's house, okay, just to visit his buddy. And when he gets there, Sifu's wife is really, really upset, you know? And Wookie's like, calm down, like, what's happening? And she said that in the middle of the night, she got a strange feeling. And she woke up, and there was an entity in the house. So she went to try and chase it out, and it ran away. But she managed to, like, grab it, and then she got a piece of its clothing, okay?
They wear clothes?
They're in a... Yeah, they've got a uniform. Like, they're in...
Oh, okay.
They're on a mission. They're
Oh, yeah, they're not greys.
Yeah, huh?
They're not greys.
Well, they are, but they can...
You said you said
no,
you can't call them greys.
No, they're your space brothers, but they're what we would call greys, but grey is a racial slur.
Oh, right, okay.
So you can't use that.
Okay.
So...
Sorry.
So Sifu's wife is really upset, okay?
Okay.
And Wookie says, I can sort this out. So he gets on the phone to Sue, okay? And says, Sue, Sifu's wife has seen an entity. Can you explain it, or do you know anything about it? And Sue says, I'll get back to you in a second. And she telepathically gets on to Teal'c. She gets on to Jeruti, actually. So she contacts Jeruti, and Jeruti says, well, what does she have? And it's like, well, she's got this, she's got a piece of material. And Jeruti goes, no, it's definitely not us or anything. And you say they're Australia? That could be the base in the Tasman Sea between Australia and Tasmania. And she goes, I'll contact them. So then she gets back onto Sue and says, yeah, actually one of them was running a mission because Wookie invited the Ponte in.
Right.
And she goes, they wear these skin-tight black neoprene uniforms. The material that Sifu's wife had was black neoprene.
Well,
Yep. Do you want to hear some even more frightening experiences?
Go on.
So that's it. Sifu quits the podcast. The podcast is kaput.
Really?
His wife is really upset. He's freaked out. He doesn't want anything to do with this. Okay?
Okay.
So Wookie goes home and he has some very unusual experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Like doors that he thought he had locked were left unlocked.
Oh.
One time, his outdoor cat was left into the house. And another time, this is most mysterious of... Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? This is most mysterious of all. Another time, he heard a noise in the kitchen, and he went in there, and there was a tube of tomato paste on the floor.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's not even the scary one, right? The really...
What's scarier than tomato paste?
The really scary, and like, I'm talking about inexplicable here, is that one day, he went in the kitchen and it was almost like he could just hear the pantry door close.
Okay.
You know, like he had come in the door and it was just click. And he was like, what's going on? And he went over to the pantry door, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a box of PopTarts on the floor. But not only that, Rachel, he had bought these PopTarts when he was in America. American PopTarts on the floor.
Oh, dear.
So, he takes the Pop-Tart, and you know the way they're in that foil package?
Yeah.
He takes it out of the foil package, and he puts it into a Ziploc bag, and he writes a note on it, saying, oh, don't worry about it, this Pop-Tart is for you, enjoy. And he puts it out in the backyard, up a tree.
But they were just in his house. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So he takes, and when he goes out the next morning, the Pop-Tart is gone.
No way.
But the bag, with the note in it, sealed, is still in the same place.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He does live in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, but I don't think that like scavenging animals would open the thing and reseal it, like,
Okay.
you know. Yeah. Then another one was a lady called Leslie A, who lived in Raleigh in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So she's chilling with her son Ben, you know,
Okay.
and the two of them have been studying this Telepathy 101 book.
Mm-hmm.
And one day they're reading it, and they're kind of, I guess, going through the process, you know, when the printer in the next room starts up. And they didn't think much. They're like, that's a bit weird. Maybe it's running a test print. And when they went in and checked the printer, it had printed out, we will leave you with our phrase of parting goodbyes. Wear your day with ease.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Then this guy, Ionami, who I think is somewhere in the States. They don't talk about where he is. But in October of 2019, he's studying the Telepathy 101 book as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly he hears this voice asking him to come outside, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes outside and he records 9 minutes of video of a mysterious light in the sky moving around. And even at the very end of the video, because you can actually find this video, at the very end of the video, he's there and he says, oh, blink twice, please blink twice. And the light blinks twice. And then the battery on his phone dies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did it save?
Yeah, it did, because I've actually watched the video.
Okay.
It's not the most impressive UFO video I've seen, like, to be honest. Then in July of 2019, yeah, the Ponte are like thinking, well, they say we need to find some proof, you know, or you need to do something extraordinary. The Ponte goes, well, what about if you guys set up recording equipment overnight, and we can telepathically imprint on the recording equipment, you know?
Okay.
So they come up with the phrase, "What's up?"
Wait.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, "What's up?"
Well,
From like 10 years ago.
that wasn't 10 years ago. That was like
20 years ago. Oh my God, I'm so old. So anyway, we're gonna. So this guy, Jason Gerhardt in Florida, he's running recording equipment. Yeah? And so on the 9th of July, they make this agreement with the Ponte. Okay?
Okay.
This guy, Jason Gerhardt in Florida, sets up the recording equipment. And this guy also has some UFO, well, strange lights in the sky footage that he was telepathically told to go outside and they would appear.
Yeah.
This is similar to the Friendship Isle one as well, where they were told to go outside and the UFO appeared, you know?
Yeah.
Or the strange lights in the sky.
Whoops.
So he sets that up and he writes a note beside it and it says, "The microphone is recording. Please speak into it. We have one request. If you wish to fulfill it, please say, 'What's up?' or 'What's up, bro?'
What?
And then have fun."
What?
Yeah. So on July... So, like, literally 11 hours after they decided the "What's up" thing, he gets a recording of "What's up" on an audio recorder.
No kidding.
Yeah. July the 13th, he gets a second recording of "What's up." Then on August the 2nd, a guy called Jeffrey Demers, he gets a recording of Commander Tilcom saying, "I was here now." And these are all recorded during the night. You can actually go, the website that we'll link, you can go and listen to these audio recordings. They're on the website. So firstcontact.com, I think. Okay, so let's get to what the Ponte's real mission here is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because they want to help people communicate better telepathically, and they want to help raise the vibration of the planet, you know? Now, she asked them, what about people that have been abducted? And they said, well, we would never, like, we don't do that, but there are other alien races here. And they would do that because they're not, like, we subscribe to the Space Brother and they mightn't be as friendly as us.
Yeah.
And they said that the Ponte's, their guiding principles are cause no fear, do no harm, leave no trace.
Okay.
Yeah? And they said that the Ponte don't physically take people, but that they will communicate with them in their dreams, and that they will take them like on the impression I got was almost like an astral plane type situation, you know?
Yeah.
So then one day, I really love this story. One day she's talking to Jeruti, you know, and Jeruti goes, "Oh, I've actually got a day off. You know, I'm really looking forward to it." Jeruti, because Jeruti works so hard managing the station, you know.
Yeah.
So Sue says, "Oh wow, what are you going to do? What do you like to do for fun when you get some time off?" And she goes, "I like to go fly kiting, and this week, I think we're going fly kiting in the Amazon." So she says, "What's fly kiting?" And what it is pretty cool. She says, like, a group of the Ponte, that everybody that's off on that day, they all arrange and they take over to telepathically a flock of birds. So each one will be inside in a different bird's head up in the flock, and they'll just basically frolic around the skies over the Amazon, or I don't know, like the Serengeti or the Pantanal, or where do you want to go? You know, what beautiful natural wonder do you want a flock of birds to fly over? It's pretty cool, isn't it? They can even do it. Sometimes they do it with shoals of fish and stuff as well. So you're there with all your buddies and you're swimming around in a soul or flying over the Amazon. I think that's pretty cool. So I guess the reason I wanted to talk about Sue as well is that like they've the Ponte have said recently in the last 2 years or maybe 3 years since about 2009 anyway, they said that
19
or 2019 sorry
Okay.
since 2019, sorry, my fault. They said that they're part of a thing called the Star Nations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And the Star Nations are here to help humanity, you know? Like they've been observing us for thousands of years and they want us to improve, you know? Like they want us to improve our empathy and our compassion and to provide for each other,
Right.
you know? And they think that we're nearly ready. In fact, they are planning to make contact in the autumn of 2021.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they've said this to their Star Nation brothers, and 32 of the Star Nation, I don't want to say races, but
Like
32
groups?
of the Star Nation groups, yeah, the different parts of humanity, 32 of them are going to take part in this. They're not going to do it near any military bases or airports, you know?
Yeah.
They only want to meet humanity where things are positive, you know? And that will be announced at a later date. Now, you're wondering when the aliens show up, what are the protocols for first contact?
Mm-hmm.
So, Teal'c said that don't assume that you can touch your alien brothers, you know?
Okay.
So I think that, you know, in a way, maybe the pandemic, and have you noticed the way no one shakes hands anymore?
Yeah.
You know, you meet people, you just kind of wave at them. Hi. So I think that maybe this is preparing us for it.
Yeah.
So also they said you don't put your hand out to shake because some of the Star Brothers, they have claws and they'll assume that maybe this is an attacking gesture. So you need to just put your palms together.
Do that namaste thing?
Yeah, namaste, the namaste gesture. That's the one. Don't try to put your hand out to shake it. They could just cut your hand right off.
It's kind of odd that it just so happens to be that one. Like
It's the namaste one, but there's another one as well where you put your palms together like a bowl
yeah.
and you offer it to the other person.
Oh, okay.
But she did have the caveat that if you do the palms together, then you're offering something. Like they think that you are going to start a conversation, you have something to offer, you know? The namaste is just, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. And the bowl out is like, I have something to offer you. I have something to tell you, or I have something to give you, you know?
Right.
Now, the official greeting for the Ponte is, I hold a light for you. I breathe in the light with you. We exhale the light together and share light breath with all.
That's very long, isn't it?
That's the official one, yeah.
Okay.
And that's it, like.
I'm gonna have to put that on a card and carry it with me, I guess.
Yeah, I hope it's long, but it brings it from a personal thing into like a shared thing, you know, like, so I hold the light for you. And then I breathe the light with you. We exhale the light together and share the light breath with everyone. I think it's quite nice.
I feel like that already exists.
That's really all I have to say about it. Like, I wanted to say it because they're...
But did they say anything about... Okay. Did they say anything about the groups of other Star Brothers who are not acting very brotherly?
No, they absolutely don't. There is
like, why wouldn't they speak up
absolutely
for us?
They absolutely don't. The only place where they get negative is they're like going, oh no, that's not us doing those abductions. We don't physically take people, and we're always very friendly about it. You know what I mean? So that's the only place where you get the impression that there are like bad guys. You know, There's this Twitter account as well, like Sandia Wisdom, and that's really active. So if you have any questions at all about Sandia, the Ponte, any questions, go to the Twitter, tweet them. They will answer you. It's such a cool Twitter to read, like everyone, because the website as well as Official First Contact, that has a lot of information on there. It has a lot of her paintings and stuff on there as well.
Okay.
You know. So I don't know if you have any other questions or...
It's just, well, so this is still an active group.
It's an active group, and it's coming because, like, well, not her, like the Ponte are saying that they're actively planning first contact in autumn of 2021, you know?
Did they say that it was going to be telepathic or that it'll be physical? It'll be physical.
It'll be physical. It'll be physical because they're going to physically show themselves. She said this is another thing that I found strange, because I thought that all of the communication was telepathic, you know?
Yeah.
And then she tells these stories about how she'd come into the living room and there would be Commander Tilcum just chilling on the recliner, you know? But then she doesn't say whether he left or did they have a conversation or what happened or did he disappear or what. I don't know, you know?
Okay.
So...
Well, okay. So I guess I should probably preface this first by saying that we're allowed to talk about our opinions using the free use blah 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 legalese that I won't put in the description, but like honestly, okay, so where do I begin?
I don't know, what are you gonna say?
All of these have that similar theme that, like, you know, they're here to help us, but it just feels too new agey to me. Like,
yeah.
Why? Like, what's the why? There's no reason why an alien species should even ever bother helping or colonizing.
But yeah, but that's
underground.
That's kind of the narrative, like, and in fairness, like I'm only picking the positive ones. You know what I mean? Like the really positive ones, like I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I like Sue's style because, like, Sue is not doing anything different than what this guy Stephen Greer is doing, you know? And Stephen Greer is like, you know, he's one of the organizers of the Disclosure Project 20 years ago, you know? Dr. Stephen Greer. But the difference is Sue wants to help people for free and Stephen wants a couple of grand to go and he'll teach you how to meditate and call
I mean,
aliens,
that's good.
you know?
That's
So I like her style. Stephen, not so much.
right. Well, I mean, it's always nice that, you know, people offer to share their wisdom or whatever for free, but then again, it's just like an ebook. I mean, like, you get people hooked.
Do you know what it is?
The digital ebook, and then they pay in other ways.
I'm not getting the impression that she's monetizing. Usually you can see when a grifter is trying to monetize
But
things.
is she monetizing other aspects of her life?
Like, you can buy paintings off her, but like, she's painted those paintings, you know? Or you can book her to come and speak at your UFO conference or whatever.
But that's what I'm talking about.
But that's standard stuff in the UFO community. I mean, like, you know what I mean? That's bread and butter stuff, like. I like Sue. I think Sue's cool.
Does it sound like they're trying to go for an apocalypse situation? Or
No,
is it just...
absolutely not. No, it's all good vibes, like, you know?
Okay.
Or that's the impression I get anyway.
Do you have any other feelings about this?
I think it's weird. Like, the thing is that she's done an awful lot of, like, you can watch a lot of podcasts and stuff like that, and she always says it's her and White Otter, you know?
Yeah.
And that's cool. And, like, I mean, I can show you a photo of the two of them together, and they seem like very nice people. But, like, I don't know if she's just including him. It seems to be all her. Because even in the podcast, like literally it's her and like they're sitting side by side, but you can only see his arm in the shot.
Yeah.
And then he's not really said anything the whole podcast. And then, you know, the only thing he'll say is, no, I think it was September. And then she'll go, oh, you're right. Yeah, September. Sorry. You know what I mean? And he's not really... So I don't know why... I don't know how he comes into it, because it seems to be all Sue, you know?
Yeah.
But Sue, I mean, Sue's cool.
Maybe
like,
he just doesn't want to be photographed.
Yeah, I just think, you know... I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, because normally when you see someone like this, you think, oh, there's a grift here, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of natural these days to think that way.
But I don't get that feeling from her, you know? I think she just likes to talk about all these new age things and get that kind of stuff across, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of feels that way, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
I mean, but then on the other side of that, we have the upcoming thing. What is it called? The military disclosure thing.
Yeah, that happened maybe a week or two ago there. But there's a lot of, like, the French government also released a document about what they had been investigating and stuff like that. I believe the Australian government kind of did a file dump as well. But, you know, I mean, none of these guys are really exposing anything that's new as such. You know what I mean?
No, but they're saying it's real.
Yeah, they're coming...
That's the big difference.
They're coming around to saying that it's not all swamp gas. You know? In fact, the American government one said as much. They were like going, it's not us. Could be the Russians or Chinese, but that's unlikely. Basically, we don't know.
Right.
You know? And I mean, I thought... I mean, it was just the sheer scale of them. You know, like 144 of them or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. That they just absolutely couldn't explain. And that's only in the last decade or so.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's interesting enough. Like.
It is interesting. I think that... just forgive me while I don't hold my breath on, you know, autumn of 2021.
Do you know, like, I would be... Because I believed Sue started saying this in 2019. And that was before any of this stuff came out, you know?
Yeah.
So, maybe she's onto something. Like, you're going to be...
Maybe.
You'll be laughing on the other side when Jaruti shows up and...
Jaruti is the secretary.
I'd say she's more like the office manager.
Okay.
You see, it's strange as well, because she said that, you know, like, when she's describing it as well, she says like, you know, Jaruti, she mans the desk, like, and people will call in and stuff. It's just it's so strange the way she's conceived of these technologically advanced people, like, that they still run a desk, you know what I mean? And that there's not a hyperspace accessible cloud-based information system or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of shows, well, I mean, obviously we don't know, but, like, you know, like, she thinks of them in the way that she sees the world.
100%, yeah.
Maybe that's just all the human mind is capable of. Is seeing something through the lens of which they understand.
Yeah. It comes back to the kind of thing about you know, that world famous Arthur C. Clarke quote about any sufficiently advanced technology you can't differentiate it from magic.
Yes.
You know, it comes back to that, like, you know. But, like, I guess the thing is, you know, we kind of come from a different generation as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
even, I'm sure even the kids that are coming up today, like, there's stuff. I mean, if you'd have told people about cloud-based computer solutions 20 years ago, they'd have laughed at you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think even there was probably someone in the 60s that didn't think computers were going to catch on. Do you know what I mean? Even in big business, like, you know, where they need to crunch, because that's kind of where it came from. But they were just like, when I was a kid, in the 80s, in the late 80s, people started getting mobile phones, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking that this was not going to catch on. Like, nobody wants people to phone them all the time. And it's true. Nobody does want to phone them all the time, but they do want to phone. They want to phone all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one. Or, like, I didn't think CDs were going to catch on. Because because you couldn't really copy a CD. And if you were copying a CD, you'd copy it onto a tape. Because we were kids and we used to, like, agree on what bands we'd buy.
Yeah.
And then we would go and buy these bands and make a copy for everyone.
Yeah.
You know? So when CDs came out, I was like, but this is silly. Why do I want to buy a CD? I'm just going to be copying it onto a tape anyway. And then, honestly, like, and then in the early 90s, I caved. And, or in the kind of mid to late 90s, I caved. I got a CD player. And then MP3s came out.
Oh, no.
How bad is that?
And they were pretty much obsolete, like...
I think it was
2006, maybe 5, 6. Like, it happened really quick.
Yeah, I went to uni, and I remember I went to uni and I bought a CD player, you know, kind of to have while I was there. And then basically, I think in about 2001, someone showed me a Rio River or something like that.
Yeah.
I can remember it being pretty quick, and I was like, and even with the size of them now, I was like, what is this? And he was like going, oh man, like it's all digital and stuff. And I was like, but how much music do you have on here? And he was like, oh, like hundreds of songs. But like now it would be like 97 terabytes of music or something, the size of the bloody thing.
Yeah. My best friend had a one of those old Sony's. It was like Sony Walkman came out, and then Sony Boombox or whatever came out, and it was this sleek white and orange thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah, when she got that, and I was like, but how do you put music on it? Like, there's no... And she was like, yeah, this is what MP3 is. And I was like, the what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's... us.
So that's... Yeah, so, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I hope Sue was right, like, you know?
Well, I guess write down that greeting and practice it, because one of us is going to need to...
I hold the light for you. I breathe in the light with you. We exhale the light together. Share our light breath with all.
So you do this, and I'll do the Namaste thing.
Yeah, and can you remember their greetings?
What's up?
No, not what's up. Hang on, I have it here.
Wada.
Oh, it's like live lightly or something. Anyway, I suppose that the whole message is go out there, you know, and have peace and love and compassion and empathy for each other, you know? I mean, even if the guys from Zeta Reticuli don't come, you can still go out and make someone's day better, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you don't really need an alien contact to...
You're probably okay, and whatever you do...
change your life.
Whatever you do not cut a check to Stephen Greer. Don't give him any money. You know? None. It's meditating is probably a good idea, but it's you know, don't give that dude money.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Theory Tuesday. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can see us next week. And if you'd like to, ring that bell and it'll notify you when the video goes up. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.